Hi, welcome to our channel Good New. Which Asian nation do you think would be the first to join NATO if one exists? Japan is most likely the response with the most votes. While the rest of the world is still talking about Japan's growing closeness to NATO, South Korea's National Intelligence Service announced that it has formally joined a NATO network defense group. As a result, South Korea has become the organization's first Asian member. According to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict and other local conflicts, cyber warfare has become an essential component of armed confrontations or hot wars. In other words, cyber successes and losses have a growing impact on the actual war scenario. What does South Korea's National Intelligence Agency joining NATO's cyber defense group mean? Is this perilous step a sign that South Korea may soon join NATO's cyber warfare force? Before we begin today's video, please subscribe to our channel so that we may continue to make videos. Let's have a look at the topic we'll be discussing today. Using the armed crisis between Russia and Ukraine as a springboard, the connection between South Korea and NATO is strengthening. In reality, the National Intelligence Service of South Korea attempted to join NATO 2 years ago. After South Korea joins, the agency's formal membership will rise to 32, with 27 NATO countries and 5 non-NATO members. Sweden, Switzerland, Finland, Austria, and South Korea are the 5 non-NATO nations involved in the NATO Cyber Defense Center. The NATO Cyber Defense Center is dubbed defensive, although it really conducts high-level cyber attack and defense simulations, as well as strategy and policy studies. NATO, as we all know, is a military alliance founded by the United States during the Cold War to oppose the Soviet Union and unite Western European countries. NATO is not an Asian organization. So, what role will South Korea play in NATO after joining the alliance? According to the information I have gathered, each member state provides intelligence or military professionals to the NATO Cyber Defense Center's operations, and the ROK National Intelligence Service will engage in related cyber warfare training and research. South Korea also stated that it will deploy personnel to the NATO Cyber Defense Center's operations in the future, as well as increase the scope of collaborative exercises and try to enhance South Korea's cyber response capabilities to the highest level in the world. Although South Korea will not join NATO at this time, its involvement in NATO's cyber warfare organization will have a significant impact on the future international relationship. First and foremost, this is a political statement promoting the merger of South Korea and the United States, particularly one representing the country's conservative wing. Second, future coordination between South Korea and the United States on critical infrastructure and networks is expected to be stronger. Given the degree of South Korean informatization progress and the peninsula's unique geopolitical climate, U.S. intelligence and national security agencies will have an easier, formalized means to expand their influence on South Korea through intelligence agency collaboration. As a result, the public will become more aware of the digital police state governed by the United States and dressed in a liberal discourse system. Third, some in South Korea may cite North Korea as a justification for the action. They will justify the fundamental rationale of the conduct by advocating North Korea's hack on South Korea. South Korea's role in international cyber policy talks will, in my opinion, be amplified if it joins the NATO Cyber Defense Center. Threats in global cyberspace today touch more than just individuals and countries. Thus, international collaboration is critical. Overall, South Korea's membership in this organization is not the same as its membership in NATO. The United States formed this body under the NATO framework to focus on cybersecurity challenges and to develop cyber warfare cross-border coordination capabilities. Starting with Estonia, the experience of relevant individuals joining is similar to the Victim Alliance created on the Internet by the United States. The National Intelligence Service of South Korea took the initiative to express its participation in this agency with the help of a specific atmosphere, which is equivalent to further strengthening the South Korean and U.S. intelligence agencies in disguise, and it is close cooperation between relevant agencies with operational intelligence capabilities. In actuality, the NATO Cyber Defense Center is an international military institution that has been expanding NATO's cyber warfare capabilities since its formation in 2008.
Food and beverage, real estate, and other realms.
Former NATO Secretary General Rasmussen, for example, stated that defending NATO's own network security is merely the most basic responsibility, and that the next step NATO would consider as a military alliance is to protect against cyber attacks. He stated that if a member state is attacked by a network and is not addressed with promptly and effectively, it will have an impact on NATO as a whole. NATO further stated that the network has evolved into a new battlefield devoid of gunpowder. NATO's collective defense doctrine is seen to apply to cyberspace. Cyberspace should attack NATO member nations, and other countries should provide political, economic, and perhaps military assistance. NATO put the construction of a cyber defense system on the agenda more than 20 years ago. NATO initiated a €58 million network defense project 10 years ago, in 2012, to boost its computer accident response skills and create a technology center in Mons, Belgium. The project's primary goal is to provide security assistance to NATO's network, as well as to safeguard NATO military troops and civilian employees by enhancing NATO's cyber defensive infrastructure. There are various reasons why South Korea wishes to re-establish the South Korea-US relationship, in my opinion. First, because South Korea has one of the world's top 10 economies, it feels it should play a great power role commensurate with its economic might. South Korea feels that only the United States and the West can assist it throughout this process. Second, some South Koreans have learnt from the Russian-Ukrainian war that Ukraine has become a battlefield because it has not been firmly allied with the United States. As a result, South Korea still needs to choose a big brother to stand alongside. From the Biden administration's perspective, there is a chance to draw South Korea deeper into its own camp, but the U.S. must also balance its connections with other allies in the Asia-Pacific area. The South Korean side, on the other hand, must recognize that this year marks the 30th anniversary of the beginning of diplomatic ties between China and South Korea. China and South Korea's yearly trade volume has surpassed $300 billion US dollars. Cultural and other contacts between the two countries have long been interwoven. China and South Korea are inseparable allies and everlasting neighbors. Overall, South Korea wishes to re-establish the South Korea-US alliance. Nevertheless, China-South Korean ties are not an adjunct to South Korea-US relations, and South Korea has no space to gamble in the so-called China-US game. Thanks for watching in this video. You can add your ideas or suggestions below. Please keep following our channel and like our videos.